that one out. All right, away we go. Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. And today's show ought to be kind of interesting because we got a lot of fun topics to talk about.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, obviously. And for those of you listening for the first time, here is our format. A few guys, in this case it's just Mark and I today, sitting around having a bar. Having a bar. Are we having a bar?
Having a chocolate bar.
Having a chocolate bar, yeah. Having a fun time sitting around a bar, having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience, listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. They only request a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is presidential quotes.
Ah, I'm going to like that.
You like that? Okay,
Yes.
So tell me, what did John Tyler say? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook, and if you like us, hey, check the like button. And we're also on YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. And one more thing, we're on television, Comcast Channel 26 and AT&T Channel 99 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. Mark, the first thing I wanted to talk about was I just purchased a new phone because mine was on its last legs, okay? And you know how when you go to the, in this case I have Verizon, I'm upgrading my phone, and they give you a special break if you extend your contract for 2 years.
Right, you get a discounted phone price, because usually they're like $500 a phone if it's one of those new ones.
Exactly, yeah, this one, the retail value is like, almost $700, right? Yeah, it's good. I'm going to get one of those Galaxy Note 2s. Okay.
Oh,
It's a big monster.
Computer.
It is, yeah. I need something big because my eyes are going, excuse me. And so here's the deal. The actual price I have to pay is, hundreds of dollars less because I'm extending the term, right? And I look at the sales tax, and they're charging me on the full value of the $700, even though I didn't pay $700.
That's right. Is that like a state income tax or state sales tax law?
I guess it is. And I asked them, I said, wait a minute, I don't understand. I said, if it's willing buyer, willing seller. It's like if I go to buy a car and the sticker price says $50,000 and I can negotiate it for $30,000, I'm paying sales tax on $30,000, not $50. What's the difference?
Well, and they lure you in at these stores. They say $99 or $49 for a new phone. So you get there, and of course they say, well, it's a 2-year contract. If you break the contract, we're going to charge you several $100s. And then they also hit you with, as you said, the sales tax on the retail value, not the discounted value. Then they get you on the insurance, right? Because you want insurance with these smartphones now. Because if you drop it and the thing cracks, you don't want to have to pay $500. So they hit you, $100 for a 2-year insurance policy. Then you buy a case for it. The case is, $39.95. So you're walking out that $49 or $99 price that lured you in. You're still walking out there after having paid $200,
taking out a third mortgage on the
house.
house.
It's usually $250, $300 for a $49 phone or $99 phone.
Okay, now you tell the audience the story that you just told me before we went on the air.
Well, I have had 3 iPhones, and the latest iteration of the iPhone 5, I don't know, didn't impress me that much. I don't think there was that much
difference between.
Yeah. So I made the switch and bought a Windows 8 phone. In fact, I've got the Nokia 920, the Lumina, which is really a cool phone, and I could have bought it at either the AT&T store because I'm on the AT&T plan, but I went into the Windows store, and there's a Windows, the Microsoft store. There's a Microsoft store in Marin County, and I went in there and I said, well, why should I buy it from you rather than the AT&T store? And they said, well, this week we're giving them away for not $99, but for free.
That's my favorite price.
And we're not charging sales tax on the full retail value.
Which would have been how much? How much is
Well,
versus
just
value?
figure around, it's roughly 10%.
No, I mean, it's how much.
Oh,
the
five,
phone?
yeah,
$500.
$500. So,
Wow.
so it saved like roughly $50. So I'm guessing that Microsoft was covering that cost.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Gates has a special deal with the state of California.
Well, the Windows Phone is the number of phones that they're selling are just a tiny bit compared to the Galaxy and the iPhone. So
Sure.
they're making it compelling, and it's a really cool phone. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Well, speaking of that, I was just reading an article. They were talking about the death of the PC. That smartphones and tablets are like selling like hotcakes compared to PCs.
Well, I forget. I read an article. And I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but they're actually. I think we've already gone past the number of PCs when it comes to tablets and or smartphones anyway. But I think that's for me. I've been using computers since I graduated from college, which was 1982.
Yeah.
And so my first computer was the first personal
PC,
computer,
yeah.
which was the Apple II.
Oh yeah,
That was the first mass sold computer, and then we got an Apple III, and that was not as popular, and then we ended up going to the PC. We got the IBM PC when it came out.
Yeah.
And so I've had tons and tons of, probably a couple of dozen computers, and all through the whole Windows operating systems from 3.1 all the way up. And I still love my desktop. I've got a laptop,
Yeah.
I've got an iPad, I've got this new cool Windows phone with a big screen, but at the end of the day, I get the most work done, the most satisfaction, really, out of a laptop with my big, 23-inch screen.
Laptop or?
I'm sorry, my desktop.
Desktop.
Yeah,
Yeah. My first computer, I think was. I remember for some reason I remember the processor was an 8088, and I thought there was a little squirrel inside, kind of running on a wheel, to kind of keep the operating system going. I had to feed him once in a while, but in fact, our first one didn't even. No, my first laptop didn't have a hard disk at all. I think it's floppy disks, right?
So I don't think the PC is going to die. What I think is trending on the computer at home on your desk is now there's a lot of these so-called all-in-one, where really it's a screen where the computer is built into the screen itself. In fact, Dell has a computer, the XPS model. They've got a 27-inch screen, so it's really big.
Sure.
And all the guts of the computer are behind the screen. So you have a Bluetooth laptop and a Bluetooth wireless mouse, and that's it. And then you've got this big monitor in front of you, and it's really neat. It's powerful and fast.
Aren't the Macs like that? Kind of the
Yes, the iMacs are like that.
iMacs are like that. Interesting.
So that's the direction I think we're going, and I don't know that the death of the PC has been called for several years now, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Wouldn't bet on it. Okay. Well, we're going to go to a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we've got all kinds of good stuff to talk about. The stock market, Stockton. Mark's going to talk about his fund, and also
Real estate, all kinds of good stuff.
Oh yeah, and even life insurance, because I got this thing from AARP that I was aghast when I saw what they were offering. Okay, so before we cut to the commercial break, we have another trivia contest, which is sponsored by the Wine Country Inn. Surrounded by vineyards and secluded up a country lane, the Wine Country Inn has evolved from the Napa Valley's very first bed and breakfast inn into a magnificent antique-filled boutique hotel. Their award-winning country inn, along with its proximity, which is very close to many of Napa Valley's finest wineries and restaurants, makes the Wine Country Inn a perfect wine country vacation or weekend getaway. Call 888-465-4608 or go to winecountryinn.com. Now, here's the question. What do men do more than twice as often as women during the week? All right? Yeah, I know you're laughing. Keep it clean, keep it clean. Okay. And here are the rules. No previous winners on the Best of Investing, because we want to get our first-time people here. You must email me the answer by midnight tonight, and the winner will be randomly chosen from among the correct answers we receive, and we'll announce it next week. Okay, now, we're going to cut to our first commercial break, and here is the first trivia question, which is, the theme is presidential quotes. In Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, what is a score, as in 7 years ago? The first three callers with the correct answer to that question are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. The weather's going to start getting better here. Check them out. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, what is a score, as in 7 years ago? Score, yeah. That's what he should have said. 7 years ago. 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name and your email address, and remember to speak slowly and spell out your email for us one letter at a time. And we'll be right back. You know the answer to that one?
You know what? I did once, and is it 20 years ago?
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
20. Because 10 would have been too easy. Score. A decade and a score.
Yeah.
I dated my wife for a score. And I
You should bring that up. I like that.
in the men's room. Let's do that before we get started.
Yeah, go ahead. I got it.
Run during the commercial break.
Run, Forrest, run!
Good answer for the trivia question. So.
Oh, good. Keep the audience engaged by going into your email after that, okay?
Okay. Engaged.
Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my famous co-host, Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. In Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, what is a score, as in 7 years ago? Mark?
Well, when I tell you that I've been married to my wife for 20 years and you say to me, did you score? I can say, yes.
Oh, that's very good.
So
I
20
like
years.
That. 20 years. That is correct. And if you think about it, when he said 7 years ago, so 4 would be 80, plus 7 is 87, and he was going back to the year 1776, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you add those together, that's 1863, which was Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Very interesting. You love math. Yeah, you did very well. Yeah, well, tell your wife that you've been, like you said, married for a score. Okay. Maybe you'll score tonight. Okay.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. It's, what is it? They say that it's 23 hours a day men think about sex, and then the other 1 hour they also think about sex. Okay. Email time. We received an email for you, and it says, Mark, can I invest my IRA or 401k with you?
Okay, so let's broaden the question a little bit for our new listeners out there. So my name is Mark Hanf. I am president of a company called Pacific Private Money, also DBA Pacific Private Money Loans. So we're a private money lender, sometimes called a hard money lender. And our business model these days, as are most hard money lenders, is to make loans to real estate investors. Since 2008, we had the mortgage meltdown. banks kind of pulled out of the lending market for real estate investors and non-owner-occupied property. They still make those loans. If you're like a perfect borrower, you can still go to your bank and buy income property or refinance your income property. But for the most part, there's a lot of real estate investors out there that are not qualifying for bank financing today. And so the private lending industry has really stepped up in the last 5 years to fill that gap left by the banks. And it's a thriving market right now. And so we use private individual capital, just regular everyday people who have savings that either are diversifying. They may own some stocks, they may own some bonds, they have other discretionary savings, and they want to boost the yield on their retirement savings overall. And one way to boost your yield is to invest in what we call alternative investments, which real estate, for example, is included as an alternative investment, and so are real estate secured notes. And that's what we do. We make loans to real estate investors. They're secured by a note and deed of trust, just like a bank. There's no difference between our loans and a bank loans. The forms are the same, the documents are more or less the same, and the private individuals who invest in those notes earn a return that is just under the note rate. So if I make a loan to a real estate investor for 10%, the average return to the investor would generally be like 9%, usually one under the note rate. So.
And sometimes, like in this case, it sounds like this listener, he might not have a lot of money outside of his retirement, but he's got a lot of money inside his retirement. So he wants to know, gosh, is there a way for me to invest that money?
Right. So I actually had a client come and visit me today. He'd never met me face to face. So he came to my office and we sat down. We talked, and he was talking about moving his money from his present IRA, which is not a self-directed IRA. It's an IRA with one of the major houses like Schwab or Merrill, or maybe it's with his bank. I don't know which, but it's not self-directed. So he's really only able to pick among stocks and bonds for investments. In order to invest your IRA monies, your retirement funds, into an alternative investment like real estate or a real estate secured note, it needs to be in a self-directed IRA. There are a number of companies in the Bay Area that...
In fact, we have one of our sponsors is IRA Services Trust Company in San Carlos, and they do a very, very good job.
Absolutely. In fact, I recommended to John, who came in today, I said, my recommendation is that you open up an account with IRA Services here in the Bay Area, transfer your money from your current IRA into, of course, you have to liquidate the holdings. If it's in stocks and bonds, you have to convert it to cash, and then you would then...
Actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they can actually hold those assets.
Well, okay.
Right? I mean, I don't think he has to liquidate it. I think he can just do a transfer
and then sell it once he does. But
if
obviously, to invest in a note or to buy real estate in your IRA, you have to convert it to cash.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you're converting some or all of your investments into cash. So the answer is yes. In fact, a lot of our lender clients, people who invest in our notes secured by deeds of trust, use their IRA monies, either IRA Services or some of the other companies that are out there. And I think personally, it's a great way, again, to boost the yield you earn on your savings. And it's you and I are both baby boomers.
Yeah.
We're kind of on the young end of the bell curve of baby boomers, but the fact of the matter is that really most baby boomers, I think, or at least many, I don't know the percentage of it, but many of us are really not on track to retire successfully. However we define successfully, and I define it as to be able to earn enough income from your retirement savings to live the kind of lifestyle that you envision for yourself in retirement.
Working because you want to work, not because you have to.
Right, exactly.
And maybe a lot of people don't know this, but I actually have part of my retirement account in a Pacific Private Money note, and it's paying 8% interest. So where else can I get 8% interest? And it's tax deferred because it's in my IRA.
Absolutely. So for those of us who are concerned about the fact that the stock market, we took a hit in the stock market in our savings, we took a hit in real estate investments. So now our retirement savings is not what we thought it would be in 2013, maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So, what do we need to do to boost our annual yield, basically our return? And don't really know what the stock market's going to do. Let's face it, right? And we know bond rates are super low, and you can't, in the money market, it might as well be zero. I mean, it's about as close to zero as you're going to get. So one way to really add yield to your retirement savings is to check out trust deeds, basically notes secured by deeds of trust. So so one of the best ways to, I think, to find out more, there's a couple of really good websites. Well, of course, our own website has information on trust deed investing, and you can find that at pacificprivateinvestments.com. That's investments plural. It's pacificprivateinvestments.com. Another website that will give you a ton of information about investing in trust deeds or note investing is a site called the privatemoneylendingguide.com. Private Money Lending Guide, all one word, big long word to spell. Privatemoneylendingguide.com. That will give you a ton of information on trust deed investing, and check it out.
Very good. All right, and when we come back from our next commercial break, we're going to get into a little bit more about, like, specifically, you've got a new fund coming out, and then we also want to talk a little bit about life insurance, a little bit about the stock market, and what's going on with Stockton and the CalPERS and all that kind of fun stuff, because it's very interesting when you go through bankruptcy in your municipality. All right, here is the second trivia question. Again, the theme is presidential quotes. Which president said, "Rarely is the question asked, is your children learning?" The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which president, U.S. president, said, "Rarely is the question asked, is your children learning?" Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, and remember to speak slowly and spell out your information for us, one letter at a time. And before we get to the break, I've got to mention one thing about Lincoln. Apparently, when he was in debate with Stephen Douglas, Douglas had accused him of being two-faced. And Lincoln looked at him and said, now, if I would, because Lincoln was not a very attractive man, right? He said, if I was two-faced, do you think I'd be wearing this one? All right, call 888-912-1190 to answer the question. Rarely is the question asked, is your children learning? Cut off very well there, but that's okay.
That's okay. I think he meant to say, is your child learning?
Yeah, or are your children learning? Yeah.
Are your children?
I always like to save it on this and this, just in case.
Oh, yeah. Redundancy is always better.
That's right. My sister used to say, that's from the Department of the Redundancy Department.
Oh, the Department of the Redundancy Department. I like it. I get it, too.
And Stuart, I think his name's Stuart somebody from ESPN now starts to say that. Hey, he stole it from my sister.
Right.
All right. Okay. Ready? Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this second trivia question. Which U.S. president said, rarely is the question asked, is our children learning? And who would that be?
Well, I'm not going to be a Bush apologist, but I did like the guy, and I did vote for him. And I think he was trying to say either is your child learning or are your children learning, and he got a little bit mixed up.
And who was that?
George W. Bush.
That would be W, as in George W. Bush. Very good. Okay. Mark, you know what? We had finished off with a email question regarding investing IRAs in deeds of trust.
Mm-hmm.
But as I understand it, your company is coming out with a new fund to try to appeal to people who may not be able to get into individual trustees. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yes, exactly, and thank you, Edward. So there's a couple of ways you can participate in the high yield arena of investing in trustee secured notes, basically real estate notes that generally are paying anywhere from 8 to 10% interest today. One way to do that is to invest in an individual note, and another way is to invest in what's called a mortgage pool fund, and that fund invests in individual notes. It makes loans from the fund.
A little more diversification.
Right, that's right, and there's pros and cons to both, and the reason that we're doing a fund and launching a fund this spring is because it's gotten to a point at our company where we have so many investors that they're tripping over themselves trying to get in on these individual notes, number one. And number two, the nature of the way people are buying real estate today, because there's, we're in this, what looks like a real estate recovery. Inventory is very tight. It's tough for homeowners as well as real estate investors to buy property today. The prices are getting bid up. So what's happening is for real estate investors, in order to get the contract, to get the deal, oftentimes they have to make an all-cash offer with a quick close. And so they don't really intend to buy all cash. They intend to come to someone like Pacific Private Money and get a hard money loan to close quickly. And so the time that we have to close a loan oftentimes is really short. So a typical example, I'll get a call, today's Friday, I'm going to call, today's Saturday, but we'll get a call on Friday, and they'll say, I got this deal, but it's got to close by next Wednesday. Well, the problem is how do I get an investor on board that quickly? It's really
send a blast email out.
Well, I sent a blast email out, and then 15 or 20 people call, but only one can get it, and the other 14 are mad at me, accusing me of wasting their time, or I thought you were just sending it to me, or so it really makes it's difficult, puts us in a very difficult position. And so we're putting a fund together so that we can pool money together, be able to close quickly, and then depending on how big the fund is, we'll keep some loans in the fund, and others will sell out of the fund to individual investors, and there's not a rush then. The individual investor has the time to adequately investigate.
Well, I would think also from a borrower standpoint, where they first come to you and they say, I'd like a loan, and basically with the individual deed of trust investors, you can assure them that you can probably place it in time. But by doing the fund, you can pretty much guarantee it because you already will have the money.
Right. So the reason people like doing individual notes is because you can go kick the tires. You're saying, well, it's a property in Oakland. Here's the loan to value. Here's the borrower. You can look at all this stuff. Well, in a perfect world where you have a lot of selection, maybe that might be your preference. But guess what? There's too many people interested in funding that note, and if you're a new trustee investor, the likelihood of you getting in on any individual deal is actually getting pretty tough right now. So what do? Well, the mortgage pool investment option is you essentially write a check into the fund and you begin earning money that from the yield of the fund. And so typical mortgage pool funds these days will earn anywhere from 7 to 9%, somewhere in that range, which is just slightly less than maybe an individual note. But guess what? Your money's working for you right away, and it continues to work for you, whereas most individual loans these days are short-term. In fact, they're very short-term. 70% of the loans we write today are to real estate investors who are buying, fixing, and flipping. So the average payoff is happening in 6 months. So again, if you're trying to invest in individual notes because you don't like the idea of a blind fund where someone else has the authority to make the loan, so I'm gonna make the loan. I'm gonna look at the property, look at the borrower, and all that.
But in your case specifically, though, one of the things I like about what you do is if you were to look at your track record, how many total loans have you done, and how many defaults have you had?
So we've done over 500 loans, a total, and that's in 4 years, and a total of for $100 million. So the average loan size has been $200,000, and the default rate in hard money used to be anywhere from 5 to 10%. I mean, it was a fairly significant default rate. Our default rate's less than 2%, which historically is just it's almost the same as
yeah. But here's the funny thing
banquet.
is that because I did hard money loans for a number of years, and what a lot of people don't know is in a lot of cases, default rate actually, believe it or not, is actually a good thing because you can pick up the property if you have to foreclose at a lot lower value than what your borrower paid for the loan.
Well, and right now, so we're unless you believe we're going to have another crash in real estate, and I don't know I can't imagine the scenario where we would have that happen again. Really, I mean, even if interest rates spike up, it's not going to cause the real estate market to go down 20%.
Not from today's value, probably not.
Probably,
it could.
Well,
it could, and then
in my opinion, that's my opinion for what it's worth. So again, to differentiate individual trustees from a mortgage pool fund, I think you would actually find that your yield would actually be higher year to year investing in a fund than investing in today's individual notes, because today's individual notes pay off anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Then your money sits in an account earning nothing while you're waiting for the next opportunity, and you're fighting for it because you're getting beat out by guys who happen to be who were sitting in front of their computer when the email went out and you weren't, because you were living, doing something else instead of staring at your smartphone.
Yeah.
So my recommendation, obviously, to many of my clients is to strongly consider investing in the fund from that standpoint. And essentially, what you're looking at is, who's the manager of the fund, who's the company, what's their track record. And so I think that we at Pacific present a pretty strong argument for why you would be able to rely on us and rely on our fund and the viability of fund, because the core principles, which is myself and my team, we're all Bay Area people. Myself personally, I've been in real estate for over 30 years. I've lived my entire life in the Bay Area. I've only had one career, and that's in real estate. So I've bought and sold a tremendous amount of real estate.
And your fund is going to have some liquidity to it.
Well, and that's exactly right.
It's
so
locked up for 30
it's not
years.
No, it's not locked up in there. It's relatively short term in terms of your ability to get the money out, if you need it in a pinch. So again, it's an opportunity. It's not like a money market fund. I mean, you can't just write a check, earn 8%, and then write a check and get it back out again. It may take 30, 60, 90 days to get the money out. It depends. Is there money in the fund at the time you want it, or do we have to sell a note in order to pay you off? So there's a number of issues. But if you're interested in learning more about this, please do give our office a call. Love to share some information with you about the difference between individual trustee notes and mortgage pool funds. So again, please call our office. We have a 415 area code because we're here in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150. And if you want to find out more about our company in general, go to our website, and that is pacificprivatemoney.com. All one word, of course. pacificprivatemoney.com.
You can also go to bestofinvesting.com.
Indeed.
Check that mark there. And the getting into a little bit of the rates of return. The stock market, it started out Friday a lot lower. It ended up coming back a little bit, but still down. And they said something about, jobs growth was worse than expected, and fears that consumers are reining in their spending. I mean, I know a lot of people who are doing that.
And how about that little guy over in North Korea that's rattling his saber, saying he's going to nuke the U.S.? I'm sure that hasn't made the markets feel a little warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So it's, kind of look at it and they go, okay, well, investing in the stock market at an all-time high right now, I don't know. Is it going to go higher, or is it going to drop again? And you don't want to. You want to almost be a contrarian investor.
Well, it's funny. You ever watch the Shark Tank? They've got
I do.
A bunch of guys on there, including Mark Cuban, who I think is a really interesting guy. I was watching a YouTube interview that he had done. I think he did it actually in 2011, and he's talking about contrarian. I mean, he's basically saying that a diversified portfolio is for losers. I mean, he's not, and that's anybody who's a financial planner out there is going, what?
I heard put all your eggs in one basket and watch that basket closely.
That's what he's right. That's exactly what he's saying, and it's kind of funny. And the reason I related to that is because personally, I'm a real estate guy. I believe that you can always make money in real estate, whether the market's it's flat, going down, going up, and for a couple of reasons. One, real estate market just doesn't move that fast. It moves, but not fast. I mean, it's not like the stock market where you can go down 500 points in a day. Real estate, you can pretty much, see which direction it's trending, and if you, particularly if you buy fix and flip, you can normally buy fix and flip in just about, no matter what the market's doing, you can do it and do it profitably and successfully as long as it doesn't, you don't go over budget and it doesn't take you 6 months when you thought you'd do it in 90 days.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that because again, I like him, I have all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah, but doesn't he is diversified a little bit. I mean, he owns the Mavericks, plus he also owns Century Theater.
He is. But again,
Landmark
I just thought that was kind of interesting that he just didn't think that, again, for people who are building wealth, it's one thing if you want to protect your wealth, obviously, diversify. But if you're really looking to grow your savings, I think you have to look outside the standard model.
Well, the oil barons, made money in oil, and Ford made money in cars. Okay, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Stockton bankruptcy and a little bit about this AARP life insurance. Kind of interesting. All right, third final trivia question. Which president said, it depends on what the meaning of the word is? The first 3 callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which president said, it depends on what the meaning of the word is. Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, and spell out your email 1 letter at a time, please. And we'll be right back. A little bit longer segment, okay.
Yeah. Was that longer? I didn't know if it was or wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. Fortunately, we don't have hard breaks except for the end.
Yeah. You got your clock timed all nice and neat.
I do, yeah. So I gotta figure out what that.
Check and see. I'm curious how my 18. Oh, if this one has better reception than my other one. It's
But you're still
kind of about
AT&T.
the same.
You're
It's
still
still
AT&T.
AT&T, right? It's not Verizon.
Yeah, Verizon's been really good for me. Let's see what we got here. We got.
What's that weekly SEO report you forwarded to me? What was that?
Oh, that was just from we call it the people we had last week, the internet.
Yeah.
They sent it, so I thought I'd just.
Oh, right, because they didn't actually. I told them give me a call. I
Yeah.
need to actually call them, and 40 thing was actually pretty cool.
Just wanted to see if. Let's see.
Willie Edwards.
So.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Brown.
God, I love those.
All right. Okay, so we need to here. Okay, so Stockton, the insurance. I might take up our time.
Yeah, and
Anything
the
else
crazy
you
real estate. I read an article in the Chronicle yesterday that now people are buying real estate all cash, sight unseen. That's how crazy the market's
Wow. Okay, that'd be interesting. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money. When we cut to the third and final commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Which U.S. president said, it depends on what the meaning of the word is? Mark, who is that?
That's our old friend Bill Clinton.
Yes! Slick Willie, as they used to call him. That's right.
I
Okay.
think his reputation has improved a little bit.
It has, especially
years.
with his wife being involved in politics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a couple of things here. One, okay, I get this from AARP. You remember AARP?
As soon as you hit 50, boy, I tell you, the mailbox starts filling up with those things.
It does. Okay, so they give me this thing here that says life insurance proposal. And they're trying to espouse, I guess is the word, hey, no medical exam needed. Affordable rates. And they tell me that these term rates are going to increase over time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now they don't have you take a medical exam, but they do ask 3 main questions.
Are
and
you
they
alive?
Yeah. Well, no, but it's more than that. That's what they used to do. Now they talk about like here, have you been diagnosed with any heart trouble or something? So they're really asking a little bit more in-depth questions. And I love this. In the past 2 years, you've been admitted to a sanitarium. Last 2 years? No, not in the last 2 years. Okay, just teasing their audience. Okay, so get this. For a man age 50, now remember, these rates are going to go up every 5 years, okay? For $100,000 for a 50-year-old man, $885 a year is what it's going to cost. Then 5 years later, it's going to jump to about $1,300, then $1,900 every 5 years, and then per year, okay? And then eventually, when you're 70 years old, it's $3,600.
Well, I'm just doing the math in my head and knowing how life insurance rates. Again, you know this better than I do because you're licensed life insurance agent. So that doesn't sound like a great deal.
Oh, it's terrible.
Not for $100,000.
Oh, exactly.
For $100,000.
Okay, so I ran the numbers. Okay, because I'm totally independent and I just throw it in the computer and I deal with thousands of companies. This one happened to be from AARP. They're saying it's from New York Life. Okay, so for a 10-year policy, you get guaranteed, and this is assuming you're in good health, it would only cost $166 a year as compared to $885, which is going to go up, right? This one stays fixed.
Why do you think? Because usually when you get stuff from AARP, it's usually like a good deal. What
Well,
do you think that's
personally,
about?
I've never seen anything from AARP be a good deal, but except for
you're supposed to get discounts.
You're supposed to get
discounts.
discounts.
It's different.
Okay, I know the answer to this. One, the New York Life in this example is not making you take your blood pressure or a little blood work example.
So for those who are uninsurable.
Exactly, and guess what? People who are uninsurable are going to make, well, in this case, they do ask a few questions, but they're the ones, if you're in good health, you should never do this. You always want to go ahead and qualify for it and lock yourself into a good rate. Yeah, no, exactly. You absolutely want to go through the exams. In fact, even here for the example.
Go through an independent insurance broker, right? Someone who can, basically put it in the system and shop
Exactly.
it.
You don't want to go to a captive agent. That's right. In fact, here, can you imagine? So again, for this one that AARP is trying to get people to sign up with, of course, it has their logo on it, so they get credit for it. $885 a year, and it goes up every 5 years. Versus, I could actually get somebody one for $430 that'll stay fixed, guaranteed, for 30 years. I mean, it's ridiculous how expensive that other one is. Okay, now we'll want to get into a little bit of what's going on with Stockton because, they just filed Chapter 9, which is the equivalent of, I guess, Chapter 11 that we all know of, or Chapter 13. Mm-hmm. So they go ahead and they file bankruptcy. Now there's a big battle, lengthy battle that's going on between the bondholders and the California pension system because the bondholders are saying we come first. And the pension people are saying, no, we come first. So, so far, though, the city has not reduced the pension payments to the retired workers, but they have eliminated the retiree health care benefits.
So I'm assuming these pensions, though, the Stockton pensions are not funded. In other words, is it coming out of the general fund or?
You know what the article didn't say? That's a very good question. But investors in the 3.7 trillion municipal bond market are concerned that if Stockton is able to avoid paying bondholders in full without cutting pension payments, other cities are going to pursue similar strategy. I mean, what's that going to do with the municipal bond market? I mean, it'll get tanked.
Well, it's funny because this is not the first time that issue has been in the forefront. I mean, it was we were actually talked about it quite a bit a couple of years back.
Yeah, exactly. And
so now it's back in the forefront again.
Yeah, but any plan adjustment, though, like any bankruptcy reorganization plan, cannot favor one group of creditors over another. And the pension retirees are basically, they should be considered creditors, right?
I'm kind of surprised that this happened now. I mean, I know when Vallejo filed bankruptcy a couple of years back, it was, the economy was really in the tank. And I guess the folks at Stockton and the city municipality there just has not seen or benefited from, I guess, any part of the recovery yet.
No, but and of course, CalPERS they're asserting that California law protects pensioners in case of any haircut, so that basically they're saying, no, we're a special class, which I don't know how they do that. And interestingly enough, the judge made it clear that the city has done everything it could to avoid bankruptcy. He noted the sharp cost cutting that had begun years ago, and that 77% of the city's budget was devoted to already diminished police and fire services. 77%. It'll be very interesting to see how that comes up. Mark, before we cut out, tell me what was going on with the real estate that you're saying that you read that article.
Well, the Thursday, the Thursday Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle had an article in there about, all the Chronicle articles of late, and real estate articles of late have just been kind of crazy. It's, and you know how the media is. It loves,
drama.
Yes, exactly. And they say, the real estate market's on fire, it's hot. And so anyway, there's an article on Thursday about now buyers are buying all cash, sight unseen.
Now, in the Bay Area?
This was about San Francisco. Now, of course,
Okay.
you have to read the article.
Okay, yeah.
The article's about
residence, not just.
It's a residential property that had 2 bids, all cash, and the winning bid was apparently from someone who lived in China, who was making an all cash offer without seeing the property. Now, of course, we all know now you've got Google Street View, you've got the MLS. There's a lot of things you can find on the computer.
That's true.
You can do an awful lot of homework on your real estate. But I thought that was interesting. Now they're buying sight unseen. So yeah, stay tuned for more crazy real estate.
Exactly, and competing with people in China yet again. Okay, our thoughts for the day. Never be afraid to try something new. Remember that a lone amateur built the Ark, and a large group of professionals built the Titanic. And one time I went camping with a friend, and a bear approached us. I started to run. My friend said, "You can't outrace a bear." I said, "I don't have to outrace him. I just have to outrace you." And of course he replied, "Oh, great. I can't believe you just played the race card." But I'm bummed. Okay, tune in next week to The Best of Investing, where we will be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. Good. That was kind of fun, kind of getting a little bit of
Yeah.
just